understanding that there was a request for deferral at planning.
Where is it? Gotten to Fabian.
Really?
Yeah.
Talk to, about workforce element.
You good?
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Okay. So good afternoon. We are going to start the regularly scheduled Budget and Finance Committee meeting. Today is Monday, March 19th. It is about 8 after 4. We appreciate those members who are here for the special committee. I will tell you that we are getting information about a major storm front that's headed this way. The weather has been kind of strange all day, but we are watching it up here. We believe that pretty dangerous weather conditions are headed this way. So I would encourage you to just exercise caution. If you have a long way to travel, just be aware of that. We're going to try to plow through this as quickly as we can, but we're kind of keeping up with the storm conditions up here, and we'll let you know if we see anything else coming this way. All right? So we do have a quorum, and we're going to start just plowing through the resolutions. Resolution RS 2018-1067 by Council Lady Vercher and Roten approves a Friends of Centennial Park and Parthenon grant from the Conservancy for the Parthenon and Centennial Park to Metro Parks provide funding for one employee's salary. Do I have a motion? I have a motion and a second. Councilman Roten.
Move to defer that indefinitely.
Okay. So I have a motion to defer that indefinitely. Second? Okay, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. You adopt. Motion to defer indefinitely. Okay. I've got resolution 2018-1083 by Vercher and Withers. Approves a memorandum of understanding between the Metro Development and Housing Agency and the Mayor's Office for Metro Government with respect to the assignment of AmeriCorps volunteers in service to America supporting the Nashville Promise Zone. Do I have a motion? I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Okay. Resolution RS 2018-1084 by Council Lady Vercher approves a grant from the Annie E. Casey Foundation to the Mayor's Office of Economic and Community Development to provide a culturally appropriate and significant community engagement plan and strategy for North Nashville's equitable economic development. Do I have a motion and a second? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Resolution RS 2018-1085, also by Council Lady Vercher, authorizes a short-term extension to the liquidity facility agreement related to Metro Government's water and sewer commercial paper program. Do I have a motion? And a second? Properly seconded. Any discussion? Councilman Glover.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Can I get an understanding on how did this occur? What exactly does it mean? And are we certain that we won't exceed the 90 days? And apparently the Bank of Tokyo or the lending institution is good with this. So I read the analysis. I'm just trying to understand how it occurred, what's it going to cost us, and why did it occur? Thank you.
All right, we have folks here to explain that. If you just identify yourself.
Sure. Tom Edelman, Metro Treasurer. Actually, we were talking with Bank of Tokyo on an extension because the original resolution authorized an extension, a long-term extension. They asked for, in negotiations, they were asking for things that we couldn't give them, and it got to the point where we couldn't reach an agreement at all. So we had to go. They agreed to a 90-day extension to allow us to go out and do a competitive RFP for the new provider. And 90 days is more than enough time to do that process and get a new liquidity provider in place.
So let me play the devil's advocate. What if we don't? What happens?
Just like any other point, if for some reason we can't issue commercial paper, we can't take out commercial paper, we'd have to issue bonds to take those out.
Okay. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Cooper.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here. A couple of quick questions. How large a facility? And this is 50 basis points on an annual rate for 90 days for the facility, and what is the total cost of this?
Correct. This part of the program, there's a total $300 million CP program for water and sewer. This part of it is $200 million. The current rate that we're paying is 43.75 basis points. So the incremental increase would be, what, 6.25 basis points on 90 days of the year. It's roughly $30,000 difference over that period of time. And I think there's a $5,000 legal fee that the bank wants in there as well.
Okay. So the total cost is really $30,000. It's relatively
Correct.
small, and it keeps the
keeps the
facility
program
in
in place.
place.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you, Councilman Cooper. Councilman Mendez.
Councilman Cooper asked my question. Thanks.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Resolution RS 2018-1086 by Council Lady Vercher authorizes the Metro Department of Law to compromise and settle the property damage claim of Paul Gontarek as successor administrator CTA of the estate of William C. Link against Metro in the amount of $300,000. Do I have a motion? And a second. Motion and second. Any discussion? Just a second. Got a Councilman Pulley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Cooper, I just have a couple of brief questions for you. Just curious to know why the bond was so low on this, considering the size of the estate. I understand there were some real estate transactions that were made after initial bond, and there was no review to allow that to be increased. Can you speak to that?
I'm going to ask Melissa Roberge, who's the attorney in the office that handled this case.
At the time the bond was set, the court didn't have the real estate holdings, and the bond's typically set on the cash holdings, and John Clemens never moved to increase the bond amount.
Okay, considering he's the subject that caused all this, is there any check and balance to review his work? Because it looks to me like there was an awful lot of time in between accountings where he gave an awful lot of excuses as to why that occurred. So I'm just curious to know why that happened.
Why there wasn't a check on him?
Yes, why there was no bond review when this, when the real estate transaction occurred. Isn't that typical? Would you do something like that?
I think it could be typical. The administration of the estate oversight is left up to the discretion of the probate court, and the probate court clerk's office is only responsible for the filing of accountings.
All right. Yeah, can you explain why the accountings were, it looks like the information indicates that there was a pretty substantial lag time in accountings here from Mr. Clemens.
There was. Mr. Clemens used his knowledge of the system to request a hold when the clerk's office had sent out a citation. So he requested a hold, and so the case was taken off the tracking system. And because it was off the tracking system, no notices or citations were sent out after that.
Okay. Is there anything we've done to see to it that this doesn't happen again in the future?
The probate court systems has been overhauled. Specifically, there are no longer any holds allowed to be placed.
No longer holds allowed to be placed?
Correct. It all stays on the tracking system.
And how about with respect to bonds? Is there any way we can, that can be addressed? Because it seems to me like if the bond was sufficient to cover this, you wouldn't have a person with a disability whose estate has been reduced by such a significant amount of money due to the embezzlement of somebody like Mr. Clemens.
Again, that wouldn't be within the purview of the circuit court clerk's office. That would be a matter for the circuit court itself.
Mr. Cooper, could you speak to that?
Again, that would be up to the judge that's handling the case. That's who sets those bonds.
Are you aware of any changes that his office has made as a result of this?
I am not aware. There may have been some, but I have not been in communication about that.
Okay. All right. I don't have any more questions.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Cooper.
Thank you, Chairman. Councilman Pulley asked a lot of the questions I think that the public is asking, because it is a little bit of a puzzle to non-lawyers, how the taxpayers in Metro are on the hook for what appears to be a fraud over in the court system. And if the attorney didn't mind answering again, what are we doing to make sure this doesn't happen again?
Sure. Specifically here, the loss was caused by the case being pulled off the tracking system, which sends out notices and citations. So one aspect is cases are no longer allowed to be put on hold.
And that simple an answer would suffice to protect the taxpayers going forward?
It would. The theory of liability was that these notices and citations are statutorily required. That was our duty that we failed to do. And so here, if the hold is never put in place, those notices and citations continue to go out.
But your feeling, and I guess also for Law Director Cooper, is you recommend this because we owe it. There's a mistake in the system, and we have to pay it, as disagreeable as that is. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Mendez.
For my colleagues with questions, I would suggest, if you're interested, I'm sure that the presiding judge in the probate court would be happy to talk about the things that he's done to increase the processes and protections in the system. I've talked to him about this, and I know he takes it very seriously. And aside from just the addressing the discrete legal issue that created liability for Metro here, I know that he's overhauled how these matters are handled in the court system, and I'm sure if the committee or an individual council member sent him a letter asking for more details, I'm sure that he would be happy to provide more information about what protections he's added for the citizens of Davidson County.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Pulley.
I'd just say if Councilman Mendez has done that research and talked with him and he's satisfied, that satisfies me.
All right, thank
That
you.
we at least have some increased checks from the circuit court about how this was handled. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other questions? All right, we are on Resolution RS 2018-1086. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Resolution 2018-1087 by Council Lady Vercher authorizes the Metropolitan Department of Law to compromise and settle the claim of Sherry Bishop against Metro in the amount of $14,492.71. Do I have a motion and a second? Motion second. Any discussion? Oh, Council Lady Henderson.
Thank you, Vice Chair Schulman. My question comes, I think, a little bit, Director Cooper, I don't know if this is more in the HR space or as far as the Department of Law settling, but I was just surprised as to the action when this error occurred the second time on the part of this employee. And can you speak to that? I mean, I certainly understand on a first-time error, but an error of this magnitude for the action that was taken as related to that employee, that seemed to fall short to me. And can you speak to that, please?
Those decisions are made at the departmental level, the disciplinary decisions. I am not aware of all of the circumstances that came into play regarding that second one, but it would be up to the department. There's no across the board, here's your disciplinary action for X violation. They're all fact dependent.
And so whose judgment call then was that within that department?
This would have been ECC, whoever the supervisor was for this employee.
And can somebody let me know who that?
Yes, we can find that out. I don't know if anyone's here
I don't
or
need
not
to
today.
speak to them at this time, but
Okay.
if somebody could just let me know
Sure,
so I
we can
can
get
follow
that.
up. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Council Lady. Councilman Pulley.
That's left over from the last one. Thank
Right.
you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, again, we're on Resolution RS 2018-1087. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Resolution RS 2018-1088, Vircher, Mendez, and others, declares surplus and authorizes grants not to exceed $10,760,423.39 from the Barnes Fund for affordable housing to certain nonprofit organizations for the purpose of constructing and rehabilitating affordable or workforce housing. Do I have a motion? And a second? Properly seconded. Any discussion? Council Lady Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A couple of questions for Morgan and Adrian, if you would, please. Can you tell me how many individual units this is going to create and what the time period is and how that's written into it?
Yeah, so this is going to be for 645 units in total. It's the most number of units that Barnes has ever invested in for affordable housing in a single round. 500 of them will be for rental, 27 are for new construction homeownership, and 118 are for homeowner rehab.
That is amazing. Yeah. I'm so excited to see this happen. And can you talk about how is this forever affordability, or is there any kind of deed restriction that'll maintain this for some amount of time?
Right, so for our new construction and our traditional funding round, it's a 20-year affordability period. For our rehab, it's a 5-year affordability period, and this is also funding for the launch of our Nashville's First Community Land Trust, which will have forever affordability associated with that. But the dollars that are for this current round, $250,000 is for operation costs, so for staff and for technical assistance to launch the CLT.
So go back to the CLT.
Yeah.
Are any of these units associated with the CLT? So that's just getting it off the ground, and then we'll have another round of units that'll be under its wing.
Exactly.
Great, thank you. I'm thrilled to see that getting funded too. Thank you. Appreciate the work y'all are doing.
Thank you, Council Lady. Councilman Glover.
Thank you, Chair. Just very quickly, all right, so I'm reading through how the money's going to kind of be divided, et cetera. What type of bid process took place in this? And has it been approved by the commission and now it's come to us in order for the final checkoff? I guess is maybe the question I'm trying to ask.
Yeah, so every round for Barnes goes through a competitive application grant process, and so we received 21 applications last fall. Of that, we're awarding 13 nonprofits funding, and so the first step is that we go through the applications, making sure that audits are sound, different things like that are sound, and that's what staff do. And then after that, we have a Barnes Review Committee that will go through and look for the extent to which a nonprofit meets the community need, different things like that. And they'll provide a recommendation to the Barnes Commission. The Barnes Commission then approves it and then brings it before you all.
Okay, and so let's go back to the number of units. Did you say 127 units that will be, quote, sold? I was trying to listen to the numbers
so
and try.
It's 645 units.
Total?
Yeah, total.
How many of those will be sold? I mean, there were a number of rentals, but I thought I heard some would be sold.
So most of them are rental. 500 of the units will be rental. 27 are new construction home ownership, and then 118 are for homeowner rehab.
Okay, and one of the things that's always been extremely hard for me to follow on this process, out of this $10 million plus that we're utilizing here, do we get a chance to recapture any of it, or is it basically we're subsidizing rents, loans, this or that? But if in fact we're selling the properties that we are surplusing here, do we receive any of that money back to try and help replenish it? Or once we put $10 million in it, our taxpayers just say, see ya, bye?
So the way our current model works is that we don't recapture funding. Instead, we maintain an affordability period on them for 20 years. Really, the reason why is because land values are extremely expensive in Nashville, and so for someone to simply give us the money back before the 20-year period is up, it's probably not going to meet the full value of that land and the dollars that we've allocated for it.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Mendez.
Thank you. Could you talk for a little bit about how these units are geographically spread around the county?
Right, so this is also our most geographically diverse funding round, and so it's over 12 different council districts. It could be more than that for the homeowner rehab sites, but in total for the 645 that are not rehab, it's in 12 council districts.
And what is the affordability level in terms of AMI or MHI?
Right, so 7% of them are for 0 to 30%. 87% is for 30 to 60%, and then 6% is for 60 to 80%. And most of that is for that homeowner new construction is for that going up to 80%.
Okay, thanks. And then the last question for the money component of this, I know you mentioned some of it is to for administrative and startup cost for the community land trust. For the rest of that money, how much of it is for administrative things like that versus straight to helping subsidize building units?
So for this funding round, applicants did not apply for operation costs like they did in previous rounds, and so all this money is for construction sticks and bricks. It's not, they could, tack on, acquisition and different things like that, but it's purely for the construction and not for admin and staff and things like that.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other questions? Okay, we're on Resolution RS 2018-1088. Have a motion and second. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. RS 2018-1089 by Council Lady Vircher, Mendez, and others approves an amendment to a grant agreement between Rebuilding Together Nashville and Metro for the rehabilitation of affordable housing units. Do I have a motion? And a second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Resolution RS 2018-1090 by Councilman Syracuse, Vircher, and others authorizes the Director of Public Property to exercise option agreements for the purchase of various flood-prone properties for Metro Water Services. Do I have a motion? And a second? Moved and seconded. Councilman Syracuse, any comments? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Resolution RS 2018-1091 by Council Lady Vircher approves and authorizes Metro to submit amendments to the action plan for disaster recovery for the use of Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Funds to complete recovery efforts resulting from the May 2010 floods. Do I have a motion? And a second? Properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Resolution RS 2018-1092 by Councilman Cooper, Vircher, and Elrod approves a grant from the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency to Metro Water and Sewerage Department for flood mitigation. Do I have a motion? And a second? Properly seconded. Councilman Cooper, any discussion on this? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Resolution RS 2018-1093 by Council Lady Vircher, Elrod, and others approves a hazard mitigation grant from Tennessee Emergency Management Agency to Metro Water and Sewage Services for flood mitigation. Do I have a motion? And a second? Properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. That was pretty weak. Let's try it again. All those in favor say aye. Aye. There you go. All opposed? No? Anyone? You approved? 11-0. Resolution RS 2018-1094 by Council Lady Vircher, Bedney, and others authorizes Metro Water and Sewage Services to enter into a utility relocation contract with the State Department of Transportation at Nolensville Pike from Mill Creek to near SR 254. Do I have a motion? And a second? Properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Let me try that one more time. Did someone vote no on that? Do you want to? Then I don't want you to vote. No, both legal counsel and I just heard something come out of there, and we weren't sure whether but again, anybody want to vote no on that particular resolution? Okay, then it's approved 11-4-0 against. RS 2018-1095 by Council Lady Vercher, Bedney, and others, authorizes Metro Water and Sewer Services to enter into a utility easement contract with the State Department of Transportation in Owensville Pike from Mill Creek to SR 254. Do I have a motion? And a second? Properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Resolution RS 2018-1096 by Council Lady Vercher, Elrod, and others approves 3 amendments between Metro Government and the State Department of Environment and Conservation concerning maintenance of closed solid waste disposal facilities. Do I have a motion? And a second? Properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Resolution RS 2018-1097 by Council Lady Vercher, Bedney, and Withers approves a grant from the Tennessee Historical Commission to the Metro Historical Commission to send 5 representatives to the National Alliance of Preservation Commissions Forum. Do I have a motion?
It's to be withdrawn.
It is, I have a motion to withdraw. Okay. Any discussion on the motion to withdraw? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion to withdraw is approved. Resolution RS 2018-1101 by Council Lady Vercher approves an assistance to firefighters grant from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security to the Metro Nashville Fire Department to provide tactical rescue, hazmat monitoring equipment, and personal protective equipment for the Special Operations Division. Do I have a motion? And a second? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Resolution RS 2018-1102 by Council Lady Vercher accepts a donation from Music City, Inc. to Metro for the use and benefit of the Nashville Fire Department. Do I have a motion? And a second? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Resolution RS 2018-1103 by Council Lady Vercher approves a grant from ExxonMobil Refining and Supply to the Metro Nashville Fire Department to provide assistance in purchasing or upgrading emergency response equipment. Do I have a motion? And a second? Motion seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Okay, we're on Resolution RS 2018-1104 by Council Lady Vercher approves a grant from the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security to the Metro Police Department to undertake alcohol countermeasures on highway safety projects to decrease the number of driving under the influence crashes. Do I have a motion? And a second? Any discussion? Council Lady Henderson.
Thank you, Chair Schulman. I just wonder if there's anybody here who can speak to a few more details of that grant or program.
No, quietly to me if you prefer.
Okay, that's fine. Is there someone here who can answer the Council Lady's questions? Oh, here we go.
Sorry, I was in the back.
That's all right.
If you could just share with us a little bit more about that program and how MNPD will be using those funds in particular, please.
Sure. My name is Captain Chris Gilder with the Metro Nashville Police Department. This is the Governor's Highway Safety Grant that we get every year, or that we apply and have been getting for the last several years. It's used for DUI enforcement, puts extra officers on the street during times and hours when there's a heavier concentration of impaired drivers on the roadway. So it funds those officers' operations.
Okay, and is that, how how do you all, I guess, assess how those go out as a particular task force, like on St. Patrick's Day or something to that effect? Or is it just ongoing throughout the year related to your general DUI enforcement?
They are scheduled throughout the year. It is scheduled out of our traffic division. And yes, they run them throughout the year. Of course, they run them on special holidays and things like that when we tend to have more incidents of driving under the influence. But they run them mostly on Friday and Saturday evenings, and they're overtime for additional officers to be out there conducting enforcement.
So for the overtime.
Yes,
okay,
ma'am.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Council Lady. Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you. We are on Resolution RS 2018-1104. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Resolution RS 2018-1105 by Council Lady Vercher and Hastings approves a grant to provide transportation services to eligible seniors and handicapped residents in Davidson County from the Greater Nashville Regional Council to the Metro Social Services Commission. Do I have a motion? And a second? Properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Resolution RS 2018-1106 by Council Lady Vercher and Hastings approves a nutrition services grant from the Greater Nashville Regional Council to the Metro Social Services Commission to provide meals that meet RDA nutritional guidelines at congregate meal sites and meal delivery services to eligible seniors. Do I have a motion? Motion and a second, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Okay, Resolution RS 2018-1108 by Councilman O'Connell and Vercher amends the contract between Metro Public Works and the Nashville Downtown Partnership to add the Metro Howard Complex parking garage to the public parking facilities managed by the Nashville Downtown Partnership. Do I have a motion? And a second? Properly seconded. Councilman O'Connell, any discussion? None? Okay. Councilman Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Though this may be the smallest amount of money of anything dealing with this, I had just a couple of quick questions for the partnership. If anybody's here, okay. Thank you.
Partnership is here.
Very good. Thank you. Appreciate this. Just a couple of quick questions. Who is managing the Howard garage now?
Well, it's not currently being managed in the evenings on the weekends.
Okay.
And so there's a growing number of events and venues there. You have the Cordell, Listening Room, Third and Lindsley, and there are a lot of surrounding parking is getting taken up by construction, which is a good thing for all of us, but it's squeezing the parking a little bit there. So this would be a nights and weekends thing.
So your management would help facilitate that as a resource?
I think so.
Oh, very good. And then how long is the agreement for?
I believe it would go until June of 20 with 2 one-year extensions.
Okay. And then,
that's from memory.
Okay. So extensions at the election of either the partnership or Metro?
Yes.
Okay. So we're not replacing anybody, and this is to provide a resource for the people in that area?
That's correct.
But this is technically out of the area of the Nashville partnership so that you're being lured south a little bit?
Well, it's outside of the boundary of the Central Business Improvement District or the Gulch Business Improvement District, but it's still inside the loop, so it's fits our definition of downtown and metro plannings and.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anything in the loop you're viewing as
We're
development
looking at it, yes.
partnership space. Well, that's great to know. And then I know the partnership has come through a lot and is complex with Metro. What is this surplus payment? How much has Metro gotten out of this? The analysis says the surplus revenues from parking allocated equally between Metro and NDP. What has that ended up being in this last year?
I don't know off the top of my head. I can find out.
Okay.
And and it's split, and Metro's portion spent on Metro things, and the downtown partnership stuff is spent on specifically things inside of that area. So it can be anything from shuttle expansion to cleaning equipment to other related items.
Okay. Well, I appreciate just letting me know what Metro is getting beyond your expenses. And then I don't know how you're going to turn this into a resource for this amount of money to the area, but I understand you're undertaking it. Thank you.
I'm not sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Glover.
Actually, I thought she was about to bring something up for him to add to the conversation as well. So,
Councilman Cooper, last year, according to the annual report that we've just received from the Downtown Partnership, Metro received approximately $519,000, and the partnership received approximately $519,000 for the year as the split of the surplus.
All right, thank you. All right, Councilman Glover.
all right, that leads me then to my question. I understand the minimums we get, the parking garage, the bonds that were taken out on those, et cetera. Are those debt obligations met before we start splitting any monies? Because I've always been a little confused on how the management piece works, and as I read the analysis here, it's still not very clear. And while I appreciate we got $511,000, do we have to pay all the debt service out of that, or does debt service, again, just to make sure I'm very clear, does the debt service get paid first, and then we split whatever overages or surplus there may be?
Who wants to answer that? All right.
This is Sharon Wallstrom again from Public Works. The debt service is paid before any of the money is split. So we don't get any money from the courthouse. All of the money that is earned in revenue from the courthouse goes immediately to the debt of the courthouse. And for the 3 extra levels, that money will come out before the money is split between the partnership and between Metro.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you, Councilman. Any other questions? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Turner.
Thank you.
All right, seeing none, we are on RS 2018-1108. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. RS 2018-1110 by Councilor Allen amends the scope of the determinations to be rendered by the report and recommendations of the special committee established pursuant to resolution number RS 2018-1039. Councilor Allen, first let's have a motion. Motion and a second, properly seconded. Councilor Allen, any discussion?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll just say real briefly, the committee met after the resignation of the mayor to determine if there was any work left for us to do. And after a robust discussion, a number of the members felt that it would be important for us to at least allow the auditor to complete his study of all the all the issues related to travel and overtime. And if we could learn from that something that could be used to make changes in policies or procedures that would prevent a further occurrence, that would be an important task for us to do. So that is defined in this resolution, that's our goal with this, and that's the reason that we are continuing.
All right, thank you, Council Lady. Councilman Pulley.
Very briefly, just want to state that the discussion was rather robust, and at the committee meeting, I took the position that I wasn't supportive of the committee moving forward. However, that's not what this resolution is about. This resolution deals with scope as we are going to continue to move forward, so I would support the resolution given those parameters, although I may have some reservations about the next one. But thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Councilman Pulley. Councilman Glover.
I think Councilman Pulley probably asked the question I was leaving. This is not the resolution that would give permission to spend $395. Okay, thank you, Chair.
Councilman Swope.
Well, thank you, Chair. Let me reiterate what Councilman Pulley just said. We on the committee decided that it was in the best interest of the constituents of Davidson County to at least continue what doesn't cost the constituents a dime, and that is Mr. Swan's finishing his report to us. so that we can see if there's any policies or procedures that we need to change in the future. So I ask that you approve this resolution.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Mendez?
Well, since all the other committee members are characterizing what we agreed upon, I'm going to have to do the same thing. We agreed at the committee, the vote of the committee was to go forward with the investigation and to spend money on a lawyer. That was the vote of the committee. My fine colleagues who have spoken up did vote against that, and the committee voted the other way. So I want to be clear for the viewing public. The committee decided to go forward. The committee decided to hire a lawyer to get advice. The committee decided to wait out the internal auditor's report before taking further action. That's it. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Councilman. Any further discussion? Councilman Cooper.
Thank you. First, I'm grateful to the service of everybody on the committee. I'm sure it was very difficult. Just making sure, so it's going to the internal auditor first to determine an improvement in internal practices that we might learn from this, and then it may get the benefit of outside counsel?
Council Lady Allen, I think I'll go to you.
We have a second resolution that we will be voting on that would clarify who that outside counsel might be. The auditor has money within his own budget to hire outside counsel within a limited amount of capacity. If we choose in the next resolution not to move forward with the firm that has been chosen, there's still an option for him to seek legal advice if he needs it to fulfill his part of that investigation.
Thank you, Council Lady. So, but we are proceeding with improving our administrative practices, hopefully, and setting that, and that's the subject of this resolution.
Correct.
Thank you.
Right. Councilman Mendez. You should be on.
I'll add nothing further at this time. Thanks.
Okay. Any other discussion on this? Seeing none, we are on RS 2018-1110, again by Council Lady Allen. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. We're now on RS 2018-1111 by Council Lady Allen. Authorizes the employment of Birch, Porter, and Johnson, PLLC, as special counsel to the Metro Council, and further authorizes compensation for services rendered. Do I have a motion? And a second, properly seconded. I'll go back to Council Lady Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, just for explanation, after much debate, the committee determined that it was possible that there would be a need for legal counsel. The Vice Mayor had spent a fair amount of effort and thought in choosing some options for us for someone who was out of town, who had no relations to Metro, and who had expertise in the area that we were looking at. So we felt that it was worth honoring his effort to choose that person to have the discussion of if we would continue with that counsel. A further development was that because our scope had changed to some degree, they reduced their team from the 4 members that they had initially presented as part of the team to 1, to the junior partner, who would still be available to provide legal counsel should it be needed. We did agree that we didn't want this to be a free-for-all and that we didn't want to expose Metro to a large financial obligation, and so we limited it to 15 hours. And then if further time were required, then that would have to come back to the committee to authorize further investigation. So this would simply be to hire the legal firm that was chosen, but with a cap on how much would be spent without further input from the committee.
All right, thank you, Council Lady. Councilman Mendez.
Thanks. To build on that, we did talk for an hour and a half after the rest of the council left from like 9:30 to 11 o'clock that evening. And the other factors that we considered were that it's clear from speaking to Mr. Swan with internal audit that he does not believe that his group internally are the right people to do what he calls performance review, to compare actions that took place with executive orders, for example. His internal audit group is not going to be doing that work. He'll either if the council doesn't approve this, he'll hire somebody through his own budget. My feeling is that if we know internal audit's not going to do that part of it, and ultimately internal audit's going to make the report to the council committee that got set up, then we're the ones who need to report to the public about the performance review compared to executive orders and whether those were followed. And given the fact that that's going to happen, somebody outside is going to be involved. The thought that was, while a close vote, the committee's prevailing view was, let's go ahead and create the relationship now. So we've got somebody on standby for when we need it, and then put them on hold with a relatively low cap. That way we get the best of all scenarios. We got somebody involved who's going to be able to do the work that's going to need to happen eventually. We build a relationship now, so it's available to the committee if we need it, and we've put a cap to protect from an overspending possibility from the front end. And that was the thinking. Anticipating some other questions and comments. If we decide to not do this, all we're doing is pushing this part of the work to the audit committee, which ultimately has less requirements of transparency because by state law, audit committee work papers are protected from public disclosure. And we push it that the council and the special committee of the council learn about things secondhand through audit committee reports rather than firsthand. And so in a close vote, the committee decided to balance those things in favor of creating the relationship with a tight limit on what could be spent in the near future. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Glover.
Thank you, Chair. I watched the debate with the committee that evening. And frankly, the question that kept coming to my mind, and Mr. Jameson, I'm going to ask you this. No matter what is found here, no matter what attorney may be hired, no matter what the internal auditor comes back, is there anything further that could be recommended to anybody, any district attorney's office, state attorney general, anybody that could be offered to anyone with regards to any further actions against the former mayor and the security detail?
Well, I guess there are two answers to that. Number one, I don't know the extent of the plea deal that was struck between the district attorney and the defendants in that case. If the resolution you just considered, however, is adopted by the full council tomorrow, then the task before the committee and this council is to consider future revisions to the Code of Laws, regulations, and I would suggest that there could very well be grounds that an outside reviewer, a law firm hired by whomever, would have suggestions on.
Okay, then, so I don't think forgive me, I don't think I get a real clear answer there on what exactly the outcome would be.
Whether or not an attorney can tell you there are additional charges to be rendered against the former mayor or the sergeant, I don't know, because I don't know if the district attorney struck a deal with them that said, this is it, you're not going to have any further prosecution from this office once you've pled to this. However, if the scope of the report from the committee is broadened, as I suspect it will be based on the 11-0 support on the resolution now, then that outside attorney, maybe he can't recommend additional prosecutions, but he or she can recommend additional changes you need to make to the Code of Laws, to metro policies, to executive orders, so that this doesn't happen again. The scope has been broadened to allow those recommendations that an attorney could comment on.
Okay, well, this is just my gut feeling, and based upon comments I've heard from my constituents and from people around town, I think frankly, we feel like enough money's been spent, enough money's been wasted by taxpayers. So with that, I'm going to move to indefinitely defer this.
Okay, I have a motion to indefinitely defer. Do I have a second? I think I heard a second out there. Okay, so I have a motion and a second to defer this indefinitely. All right, discussion on that motion.
I think, if you're pointing at me, I think that if we defer this indefinitely, at any point it can be brought back if, in fact, a real value is seen here. You know, the thing I wrestled with when I was watching the committee meeting was 15 hours. Well, maybe it's enough, maybe it's not. I have no idea. But what I do know, and what we think, or what I think we've learned over the last couple of hours, is money's in a budget, it will get spent. And so, therefore, I think we defer indefinitely until we understand the real purpose and the real need for spending additional taxpayer dollars. So that's my reason for deferring indefinitely. It's not taking it away. We're not asking to table it. It's just deferring indefinitely until we understand if Mr. Swan comes back to us and tells me there is a real, or tells us, forgive me, that tells us there's a real reason to spend this money. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. So this is a motion to defer indefinitely over the recommendations of the sponsor of the bill, correct? All right. So I know I have people lined up to speak on the matter, but I'm looking for hands to speak on the motion to defer indefinitely. Councilman Mendez. Yep.
Well, I'm opposed to the motion to defer indefinitely. I won't repeat the same comments that I made a few minutes ago. I believe the result of deferring indefinitely will be that we'll push the hiring of counsel firmly into the audit committee level. As a member of the audit committee, I mean, I'm still going to see all the information. I don't know about anybody else. So I won't repeat my points. I think we shouldn't defer it indefinitely.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilor Henderson. Hold on. There we go. You're on.
Thank you, Chair Schulman. I appreciate that the committee broadened the scope of what they're looking at, because I think we all want to make sure that internal to the mayor's office, just from a process management standpoint, a policy that allowed for travel and overtime and so forth, and to understand that from a process improvement and internal policy standpoint. I appreciate what Councilman Mendez has shared. That was very helpful and clarifying. But I wonder, Chair, if you could ask either Council Lady Allen or Councilman Mendez to speak to, I mean, I guess I found it compelling what Councilman Mendez said about having this kind of in the queue, or this ability, because he did not feel that Mr. Swan and his group would necessarily get into these kind of internal policy and process recommendations. I'm a little confused there, because I thought that really was the work of Mr. Swan's group, right? That he would analyze that and provide those recommendations. So I wonder if someone, before we vote on this, I would like to have a better understanding as to what would be within Mr. Swan's purview and why the extra attorney would be needed. If we could have just a little more conversation on that. Thank you.
All right, Council Lady Allen is sick, so I'm going to go to Councilman Mendez. If I can get you up here. There we go.
Thanks for that question. We talked a lot about that at the committee. And it's worth knowing as background that it's fairly customary for internal audit to hire outside professionals. For example, when our information technology systems get audited, that's a specialized area of work, and outside professionals are hired. In this situation, internal audit has a great deal of awesome resources for being able to look at things like, if there's a standard procedure for how overtime is supposed to be approved, and it's a 5-step process, and there's supposed to be certain checks and balances and approvals. They're very good and skilled at that technical analysis of whether every box was checked and the proper approvals were provided. That's where internal audit is the strongest. Things that get into any amount of judgment, where there's a executive order, for example, that's not a law, and there might be some amount of discretion that's applied. When you get into something that's less black and white, check the box, is it checked, is it not checked, and it is something that's got more of a discretionary component to it, that's something that the audit department does not have as a core competency and would technically, according to Mr. Swan, outsource for that sort of review. And so that's the basic reason where there's a distinction between some things, some large parts of the review internal audit will do, some parts they'd be looking for outside third-party advice, as is their practice in a lot of different areas.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilor Henderson.
And then I guess my follow-up question comes as it relates to Mr. Swan's budget or the funds appropriated for this committee. How are we addressing it? From whence are these funds coming for the committee to engage this attorney?
Councilman Mendez.
So I don't have the exact numbers, but he asks for and gets a budget approved that basically takes care of his known tasks. You know, if he's got to hire somebody to look at information technology audits, for example, you know, he'll have that built in his budget. And then he also has some amount of money built into his budget for things that come up. And so I know that he told us this when he came before the committee. I don't have the exact numbers, but I think he believed that this would be doable within his budget. You know, it does cut into possibility of if he needed the resources for some other audit that might come up. But you know, I think it's doable within his budget. You know, from my perspective, it's all sort of left pocket, right pocket, you know, whether it comes out of being hired by the council or hired through his budget, it's still money that's going to be spent. And unlike a lot of parts of the metropolitan government, he customarily does not use everything that's allotted to him.
Thank you, Chair.
All right. Thank you, Council Lady. Okay, so we're still on the motion to defer indefinitely. Anybody else want to speak on the motion to defer indefinitely? Councilman Cooper. Hold on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Following up on Council Lady Henderson's questions and one more for the committee, Councilman Mendez. This is Mr. Swan's recommendation to be a tool for his work to have the committee. I just wanted to make sure, and I think that's important since I think he's best situated to assess what he's going to need to do a good job for this, for the city.
Do you want somebody to answer that?
Well, yeah, I'm on the, yeah.
Do you want to do it? Council Lady Allen? I loaded up the board.
Oh, you mean in terms of the source of money? I mean, but in terms of having Birch Porter as a resource for his group to do a good job.
Get a stylus.
Which one?
The stylus usually drop down in the.
This guy? Where's it? There she is. Hold on, Council Lady. Okay. Okay, there you go.
Thank you.
Council Lady, there you go.
I appreciate Mr. Mendez covering for me while I had a coughing fit. My understanding is that from the beginning, Mr. Swan has been of the opinion that some of the very technical work he would be doing, and the other parts that involve more process would require a lawyer. The question is, does he hire it from his budget? One of the reasons we went through all this work was to try to make sure that whoever was providing legal advice was someone who we knew would be truly independent. And then there's also the transparency issues that Mr. Mendez has brought up.
Well, I appreciate that, Council Eddy. With your comments and Mr. Mendez's comments, I feel myself to vote against the deferral, indefinite deferral, and try to give the audit, our independent auditor, the tools that they feel they need to have.
All right, thank you, Councilman. Councilman Pridemore.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Out of respect for the committee, I can understand, and the audit committee, I have some small understanding as to the justification for having an outsourced for the part of the investigation when there is an employee or an elected official or someone involved with Metro government involved. However, now, as Mr. Jameson said, to maybe use them or to be used to evaluate future executive orders or the way that they're executed. That, I mean, isn't I'm going to ask Mr. Lawyer John Cooper. Would not our legal department? We're not investigating anyone. We're just reviewing laws or reviewing policy about executive orders or such. Isn't that something that our office, your office could perform? Again, it's neutral. There is no target here. It's just the actual policy of executive orders.
We're certainly happy to assist the council in you know, whatever you might need regarding that. The special committee does have the authority to hire its own counsel, so we have, you know, obviously not played any role in this process to date. But I mean, we're happy to do whatever we're asked.
Well, yeah. Well, thank you, Mr. Cooper. I was wanting to make sure that you felt competent, or your staff did, in being able to execute the review of whatever policies that are currently in existence and maybe reforming some of them, when we really, there wouldn't be any specific target in mind, so the neutrality, the impartialness of the review, I think, would look favorable upon our constituents. So I'm going to vote for the deferral for that purpose.
All right, thank you, Councilman. Councilman Pulley.
I just have, well, I'll sum mine up like this. I voted against this at committee. Councilman Mendez certainly summed up I guess the opinion of the committee was to go in this direction, and I definitely was in the minority, so in fairness, I'll state that. But there were questions brought up today about potential future criminal charges, and you know, anybody that's lived in this world understands that when a DA negotiates a deal between a mayor and a police officer to felony charges, it is by way of its nature a negotiation, but typically those negotiations come in a sentence. For them to plead guilty in open court to a felony charge is something rare in an investigation like this. And the DA is certainly privy to all the information that was provided by the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, which is a very, very professional organization who did a thorough job on this. So I think it's really unrealistic for us to expect that anything that we do would yield any future criminal charges out of this whatsoever against anyone, because all the information was provided to the Attorney General, who made his assessment on who to charge and what to charge them with. So I don't think it's really realistic for us to assume any more charges are forthcoming in this. With respect to the policy matters, I voted against it at committee for the reasons that I felt like we could come at that from an entirely different method. We have a personnel committee here chaired by a highly competent council member who could easily be charged to look into this. We've got an internal audit investigation going on. We have two department heads who are very professional. whose organizations were involved in this matter, and don't think for 1 minute they have not taken these things lightly. And lastly, the committee agreed to give them a maximum of 15 hours. I would submit to you that that would be a minimum because they're going to use that 15 hours, and for us to go ahead and authorize that, I think is a bit premature, but once we do authorize it, they're going to use it. I just simply think that it's certainly valid that we, as a responsible legislative body, look into policy matters and make sure those are addressed. I just feel personally like we could do this a different way. And for those reasons, I'm opposed to spending the money on a lawyer like we're suggesting that we do it right now. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilman. Okay, we're still on the motion to defer indefinitely. Do I have anybody else? Councilman Glover.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I think those who don't want to support this actually made my argument for me. The budget's already in there for the internal audit department. If they feel like they need it, then they certainly can come back. So therefore, I will echo, and I don't want to paraphrase Councilman Pridemore, but I will kind of echo what you've said. We're not investigating anybody now. So if we're looking at the policy, I think we certainly have Mr. Jameson. I certainly think we have Mr. Cooper and the legal staff here to help us understand and translate the policy. If we're unable to do that, then by deferring this indefinitely, it's able to be brought back in. And if in fact the internal auditor feels like that we should in fact hire this particular firm and spend that money, the taxpayer money, then I suppose that they could certainly do that again. So I will just simply renew. I think an indefinite deferral is the right thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Swope.
Thank you, Chair. I have to support Mr. Glover's motion to defer indefinitely as the other member of the committee that voted against this in the first place. I think Councilman Pulley's and my argument was quite clear at the time. And if we remember correctly, all this went down in literally a 13-hour period of time. And as a consequence, our focus changed at 10:30 that night after council, on that same Tuesday night that the mayor resigned. This was no longer looking into whether or not they broke any rules and what and if we did anything to them at that time. It was, let's look at the hard numbers and see if through the numbers we can figure out if any policies or procedures need to be changed in the future. So the ticking clock completely went away within 12 hours. And as a consequence, I can't support spending one dime of constituent money on, or taxpayer money on this moving forward unless we need to. And I think we actually had the conversation in committee that we can bring this back. If we get to the point where 2 or 3 weeks from now, when Mr. Swan's done with his internal audit, and we find that it might behoove us to have legal opinions of that audit, well, we have Mr. Cooper here, Councilor Cooper, we have Councilor Jameson, who are very bright gentlemen that can advise us in that regards before we ever need to go outside, because now the bell's rung, clock's done. So I ask that you support the motion to defer indefinitely.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Anthony Davis.
Thank you, Chair. Just because I was in the queue, and I think hopefully we're going to defer it. I support the deferral as well. I would actually voted against it, but I think we've got a good compromise with that. And like they said, we can bring it back, and I don't want to rehash all the other points. Thank you. Hopefully we can support the deferral.
Thank you, Councilman. So there's only one person that was in the queue that hadn't spoken, and that's Council Lady Johnson. Do you want to wait, or do you want to speak now? All right.
Thank you, Chair. I was still at the part of the special committee, and actually I have started saying let's dismantle the special committee because situation has changed dramatically. However, the scope of the special committee has changed because you have adopted a previous resolution 1110. So to do that, so if that resolution was not adopted, and I was in favor of not spending any money. But however, the situation has changed. The reason as a special committee, I voted to approve to spend outside counsel is because my understanding is Mr. Swan Audit Committee is working for special committee, not audit committee in these certain circumstances. So he requested it would be proper to have outside counsel, especially he would like to investigate about the policy issue by finding out what went wrong so we can make a good recommendation for the future policy for us not to have this kind of incident in the future. So for that reason, I changed my original mind and to have Mr. Swan working under special committee. To do that, I think it would be proper for us to provide outside counsel, so the outside counsel can be pretty independent, and that's why we decided hours limited to 15 hours, so it will be translate less than $6,000. So if we can allow him to do by investing $6,000, and I think we will gain a great policy. That was my, thinking when we adopted this spending, hiring outside counsel. So just wanted to give my prospect, but it's of your will.
Thank you, Council Lady. Councilman Roden.
Thank you, Mr. Shulman. Mr. Jameson, if you may answer a couple questions for me. Do you feel competent on giving this committee legal advice?
I like to think I do.
Okay. If something comes up that you don't feel competent on giving legal advice, you'll advise the committee that you think they need to hire legal counsel to answer that question. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
No further questions.
Thank you, Council and Councilman Roden. Okay, so that clears the board. So let's go back to where we are. We are on a motion to defer indefinitely. That was brought by Councilman Glover. That's been properly moved and seconded. Any further discussion? So again, just to make sure we're clear, if this is a motion to defer indefinitely, this will take the bill off the agenda, right? Right.
Rule 24.
So it will take this matter off the agenda. It can always be brought back on, but it's a defer indefinitely over the objections of the sponsor of the bill. Okay. So if you want the bill taken off the agenda, you would actually vote for the motion. If you're against that, then obviously you'd vote no. All right. So we're going to do this by a show of hands. Seeing no further discussion. All those in favor of the motion to defer indefinitely, Budget Committee members, please raise your hand. Okay. All right. All those against the motion to defer indefinitely, raise your hand.
5, and wherever you are.
All right. So it's
Motion fails.
the motion fails. It was 5-6. 5-6. Okay. So we are back on the resolution, and it's been moved and seconded for passage. Any discussion? Okay, we're going to do this by voice vote first, and we'll see. All those in favor of RS 2018-1111, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Okay, let's go back and do it by showing of hands. Again, we're on RS 2018-1111 by Council Lady Allen. All those in favor, please raise your hand. You got me?
6, yeah.
Okay. All those opposed, please raise your hand.
5, just the inverse.
Okay. So the motion passes 6-4, 5 against.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you all for kind of hanging in there. That's obviously an important resolution. All right, RS 2018-1112 by Councilman Cooper, Glover, Mendez, adds a representative of St. Thomas Health to the Strategic Planning Committee regarding Nashville General Hospital operations. Do I have a motion? And a second, properly seconded. Councilman Cooper, any discussion on this? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Oh. Hold on, I'm going to back up. So the Madam President has had her hand up, sorry.
So no, I'm not Ed Kendall. I'm
Yes, I
just
know.
sitting at a table that works.
I just had to find you.
Thank you. Having said that, I just want everybody to thank Councilman Mendez for standing in and chairing this committee and helping Councilman Glover and Cooper move this forward. He agreed at my request to step in and take this on. So we just owe him a big debt of gratitude because it's going to be a big job. That's all I had.
Councilman Mendez, your name was called. Any response? Hold on. You're on.
I appreciate the comments and looking forward to the exciting challenge.
All right. Any other discussion on this matter? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. All right, bills on second reading, BL 2018-1112 by Council Lady Vercher, Bedney, and Roberts, approves a lease agreement between the Metro Government and Donaldson Corporate Center, LP, for office space at 3055 Lebanon Road. Do I have a motion? And a second, properly seconded. Any discussion? Councilman Mendez. Got it.
I need to abstain on this one, please.
Okay. All right. Any further discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Okay, that is it. One abstention. Oh, Councilman Glover.
Mr. Jameson,
Yes, sir.
you know my thoughts with regards to a particular rule I plan on invoking. Do I do that now in Budget and Finance, or do I ask permission tomorrow night to invoke that rule?
You could ask tomorrow night on the floor.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
I'll have a further discussion.
Now you've got our interest, so we'll go chase you down. All right. Any further announcements before we adjourn? Please be careful out there. I can't see through the windows. I don't know what's going on out there, but just be careful. Budget Committee stands adjourned.